welcome back. Welcome back to Chief of Self. Chief of Self, your favorite podcast. I hope so. I know I'm going to start off I'm not going to start off every episode saying how giddy I am and how happy I am that you are here. The messages are flowing in. The feedback has been received that especially last week's episode, I think there were so many nuggets that you guys found so helpful. So I am grateful that I was able to depart that wisdom. Honestly, it was such a reminder to myself as well of knowing when to check in order to push forward or knowing when to rest. So I think that episode is going to be definitely bookmarked for even me to listen to down the line. But let's get into today's topic. First of all, just want to say like what's been going on in my life. Camber is going through such an up level. We are hiring a bookkeeper, a fractional CFO. Like we are leveling up when it comes to finances, which, Lauren and I have been doing our own bookkeeping for 5 years. And although I think it is so imperative for founders to know what's going on in their business from a financial standpoint, we just got to a point where we were like, okay, our time could be put to better use than us like going through our expenses. So we hired a bookkeeper, and I'm just so excited because although it seems so scary to make these types of hires and outsource this information, I always find it's a lesson I come back to time and time again. When I invest in a certain area of a business, of my personal life, that area grows. I don't make the rules. That's just how the mechanics of the world goes. All right. So I know that investing in this bookkeeper and fractional CFO will then make us more money. I just know it. It's just a feeling. It's a thing. You just have to put in money to make money. And we're also about to launch our website that we have been working on for a year. And that is so exciting. That's like literally looming in the next couple weeks. And that's all while, consistently posting content every day and, all the other many things that we do for Camber. So I come back to this quote, and this makes a lot of sense for this episode because we're going to talk all about quotes that slapped me back into alignment. But I think about this quote: how lucky you are to be overwhelmed by a life you once prayed so hard for. I always remind myself of this when I get overwhelmed. I would rather be overwhelmed by this life, by doing things that I love and by working for myself, than being overwhelmed in a job that I hated, working for someone else. I choose this overwhelm, and it's all good things. Things are swirling around, and we're keeping on going. And I love the flow of things. So I'm trying to just wade in the ocean. Am I high? Like, what's going on with all these weird phrases? Okay, things worth sharing. I cannot believe I've recorded, I think this is the 4th episode, and I have not mentioned my walking pad, or maybe I haven't, I forgot. My walking pad and I are in a very, very committed relationship. I am addicted to my walking pad. I don't know what I did before it. So I got a walking pad in order to prep for my wedding. I just wanted to ensure that I got at least 10,000 steps in a day. And oh my God, with this walking pad, I walk average 7 miles a day, like 5 to 7 miles a day without even thinking. There is something that happens to me. I get into that flow state. I edit content on there. I take calls from it. I answer emails. Like I'm on the walking pad all the time. It is one of the habits that I kept since wedding planning and prepping. And my body just feels so much better when I'm walking. I feel more creative. Obviously, there's a ton of science on this, and it's proven that walking just really helps with your creativity and your productivity and just getting like the thoughts moving in your brain, like something about like the movement of your body and the stagnation. So I am addicted to it. I'll put the link in the description for the walking pad that I have. It's on Amazon, and it was so easy to set up, and I am addicted to it. So, and I know I need to, well, there is an affiliate with it, so that's great. But I have influenced many of people to buy this walking pad. All right. So I implore you to do it. It will, like, you will easily get 20,000 steps in a day without even thinking. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay. The deep dive topic this week. I'm so excited for this one. So I've mentioned many, many times that I have a note on my notes app of all my favorite little sayings. So anytime I listen to a podcast or read a book or something, or just come across on Instagram, these little sayings and quotes that just like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Where it just gut punches you and you feel it like down to your core. The breath is like taken out of you and it slaps you back into alignment. This episode is just a compilation of all those quotes. All right. So I implore you to take out your little phone and take out your Notion board, take out your notes app and just jot around. Yikes. I implore you to take some notes and pick and choose which ones are your favorite. And I really, really hope you enjoy these as much as I did. I grouped them into different sections. The first one is called perspective shifts. The first quote is, "Life is just a big game of perspective." Okay, this grounds me every time things feel like too heavy. Every time I feel like I want more, I immediately think, oh wait, life is just one big game of perspective. If you think back to the Maddie from 5 years ago, the Maddie from 1 year ago, and you told her what she's doing now, I mean, she would pee her pants. Like, she would be so fucking excited. So it's all just a game of perspective. Like, do not compare yourselves to others. Like, compare you to your younger self and remind them that they have everything that they wished for back then. I just think that is such, like, already my heart just like starts to feel softer when I think of the 5 year ago Mads, how much she wanted the life that she's living right now. So anytime I like want to compare to others, or even if I want to, like, if I want more, and the goalpost just keeps chugging along the field, I just stop and think about that girl, and immediately it's all about perspective. Okay, this one's a little funnier, but it's something that always sticks with me. It's that skit on SNL that Adam Sandler did where he's like, if you hate hiking at home, you'll hate it in Italy. And it's just this reminder that a change of scenery does not change your patterns. And yes, this pertains to travel, of course, but I think it just pertains to any type of change in your life in general. So, for example, once I get a lot of money, then my habits will change. Or once I get the promotion, then I'll be happy, right? We always have these if-then statements where the real trick is to start the habits now, to start feeling that joy now, so that when you get the goal, when you get the money, when you get the promotion, the joy is just expanding. It's not reliant on that goal, if that makes sense. So I always come back to that because it makes me giggle, but then it reminds me that I can't just become a different person just because I'm in a different place, right? All right, the next one, allow uncertainty to feel like an adventure. So this is a quote that I heard on a podcast, and it was Krista Williams that said it. And I just love this one because it reminds me a lot of something like a exercise that my sister does a lot, where she looks at negative thoughts or things that are happening in her brain as a video game. Because when you look at uncertainty like an adventure, it feels more playful. That's what I'm trying to say. And my sister would always say, like, if there's a negative thought, she'll be like, pow, like a video game character type of sound to kick out the negative energy or the negative thought. And already it just brings this levity to those challenges, to the pain. You just kind of look at it like an adventure. You look at it like a video game. I love doing that exercise. And again, it's kind of just like having fun with uncertainty, being curious about it, seeing uncertainty and saying to it, okay, like let's go. All right, we're going this direction. Okay, let's go this way. And there's just this, again, flowing with life, bruh. I am I'm like surfer dude today. Hey. Anyways, so I I love that quote because it just reminds me to instill or infuse, that's my word of the day, infuse a little more playfulness into my life. All right, next section is energy and intuition. Your energy introduces you before you even speak. So this is Mimi Bouchard. She said this. I think about this a lot when it comes to imposter syndrome. So when I'm about to go into a big meeting or walk into a room that I'm a little nervous about, what I'll do is visualize the energy that I want to embody rather than the words that I'm going to speak. So for me, it's like I want to walk in not on my phone with like a broad chest and just a smile on my face and so giddy and excited and comfortable. And I want to make the other person feel comfortable. That's the energy that I like to exhibit. I think about Tinks a lot in this situation. She also has a story where she says, she grew up in the UK, but then she went to Stanford. Right before she went to college, she had this thought of, oh, I literally can become anyone I want to be because no one knows me at Stanford, not one person. So I could just show up and be the person that I want to be that higher self energy. And she said, when she was growing up, she might not have been as confident. And she just said, I'm going to be a confident person when I go to college. And she did. She just pretended like she was, it kind of is the fake it till you make it, where she just pretended to be confident and she showed up, and then as time goes on, you don't know what's real and what's not. And then you're just a confident person. You might as well just become your highest self, bring out that energy, because then it'll be second nature. All right. The next one. Oh, I love this one. Too busy watering my own grass to care if yours is greener. So this is the antidote to comparison, right? I always say, focus on yourself, stay in your lane, just care about your grass. And if it is watered, if it is healthy, it is the right shade of green for you, that is all that you should care about. Okay, the next one, joy multiplies when shared. I live this every single day because I feel as though a lot of us think that being happy is selfish, where I actually think it's the most selfless thing to do, because when you're happy, when you're joyful, it multiplies and it radiates. So when you walk into a room and you're joyful and you're happy, it kind of goes back to your energy introduces you before you can even speak. That joy is infectious. People all around you then start to feel joy. It multiplies, and then it's selfless because you're giving the gift of joy to everyone that you interact with. So I think that prioritizing your happiness and joy is honestly the most selfless thing you could do. Next bucket, discipline, self-trust, and flow. So this is something that Sammy Clark and Sammy Spalter say a lot in the Form universe. Self-discipline is the highest form of self-love. I'm going to tweak it a little bit because discipline for me still has this connotation of punishment and rigidity. I like to say devotion. So self-devotion is the highest form of self-love. Again, it's showing up for yourself on days when you don't want to. It's devoting to yourself, right? And in the ways that only you can know. So for me, self-devotion looks like waking up early. I love to wake up at 5 a.m. I am a early bird, but I love to wake up at 5 a.m. because it gives me so much time to do my morning routine, journal, meditate, take some time for myself. And I also devote to myself every day because I work out every day. I move my body. That is something that is such a priority for me. So there's just these little ways that you show up for yourself that maybe sometimes you don't want to, but again, all these little things compound over time and they suddenly become autopilot. So self-devotion is the highest form of self-love. Next, I say this so much on my Instagram if you follow me, but I say it a lot because I want to drill it into people's brains. You are what you repeatedly do. The micro habits are so much more important than the macro goals. Those little things you do over and over and over and over again, that becomes who you are. That literally shapes who you are. When I'm on my walking pad, I'll always write that you are what you repeatedly do, because I repeatedly walk on my walking pad. Okay, so I am someone that shows up for my body and cares about my body. That's what it shows me, because I repeatedly do that. Everything that you do, if you read every day, that means that you are someone that cares about knowledge, that cares about growth, and so on and so forth. I just think it is such an important message to remember that consistency is that identity building. Next bucket is growth and meaning. All right, so I kind of tied in 3 different quotes into one message, and it's very, very important. I'm going to reference Sammy Clark again. She said this the other day, and it stuck with me. My mess turns into my message. Another way to say this is your triggers are your teachers. I think I heard Elizabeth Endress say this from The Wellness Process. Another one that ties into all this is all you're missing is hindsight. Okay, so what does this all mean? When you are at your lowest, when everything feels like it's falling apart, when you are at rock bottom, I always say to myself, all you're missing is hindsight, because it's all going to make sense. This moment is a teacher. This moment is supposed to get me somewhere. This is where I learn something about myself. This is where I uncover how I'm supposed to move forward. I just love that, because it reframes the fact that challenges, that pain, that suffering can actually be useful. And it is every fucking time. It is so useful to listen to those messages that your mess is bringing, right? So whenever I'm really low, I'm like, this is all going to make sense. There's a reason I'm supposed to be feeling this way. There's a reason this is happening to me. And all I'm missing is hindsight. It's going to make sense, right? I think a time that this happened to me that feels very apparent was during Camber. And this goes back to, actually, this is a perfect segue. The next quote is rejection is redirection. Back in like 2022, I want to say, we tried to raise money for Camber. We were raising money on the fact that our company was a mobile app. So we were raising to tech VCs. At the time, it did not go as planned. We were not able to raise the money. I poured my heart and soul into it. I got so many rejections. It was a really, really difficult time. It caused a lot of doubt in terms of myself as a founder, myself as a leader, the future of our company. And what I did after that rejection is I redirected. I said, okay, what in the business is working? Content. And the community. So we poured everything into those 2 buckets, because we didn't want to spend any more money on the development of the app, because the app was a money suck. And so we just poured into the areas that were already working for us. And wow, was that, again, all you're missing is hindsight. And I am so grateful, like so grateful that all those VCs rejected me, because our product, now we are a media company, that is not a venture backable business. If I had taken money from these investors, one, they would have forced us to continue working on the app when it wasn't working, when it wasn't even what our customers really wanted. But I would have had to pay them back an exorbitant amount of money that a media company is just, that's not the business model. It's not a business model that's venture backable. The business model that we have is through brand partnerships, and we bootstrap the business now. So like, I'm so grateful that we weren't able to raise money. And again, at the time, I was very low. I was not confident in my skills as a founder. And that rejection just turned into a redirection. And now we make way more money. I don't have to adhere to any investors. We can go at our own pace. We can do really whatever we want. We don't have people breathing down our necks to do something that we know in our gut is not the right thing for our business. So I feel so fortunate that happened. But it was a challenge in the moment. Next is be loyal to your potential, not your excuses. Oh my God, this one is so good. So this is the pep talk version of tough love, right? You will always find excuses. Your brain is going to play tricks on you. They're going to find excuses for you not to be able to work and chip at your dreams every day. But if you are loyal to your potential, that just changes the energy of going into a workday, right? Thinking about the person that you want to become, that potential person, what they have, their personality, their habits, their energy, like showing up for them. Damn. This one I need like tattooed on my brain as well, or like across my forehead. Be loyal to your potential, not your excuses. That's it, guys. All right, the last bucket is grounded mindset reframes. Okay, I say this one so much. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. I cannot stress this enough, and I want to also remind myself this. You are living in your life today. This is not something you're preparing for in the future. You're not preparing to live life once you get X, Y, and Z. You are literally living it now. This is the show. Curtains up, bitch. Like, this is the show. You are not the understudy. You are not the best friend supporting character. You're the main fucking character. The show must fucking go on, all right? We need to drill this into our brains. We all walk around living life like it's a dress rehearsal, like we're preparing for things. Preparing, but not actually living. There are weeks, I was talking to Lauren about this, where I'm like, I feel like this whole week is just scheduling and preparing. For what? When do I live? Like when is the part? Why am I always scheduling? There was all this logistics and admin shit that I had to do, and I'm not saying those things aren't important, but it just felt like a little busy work, and that I was just doing things to schedule for the future. Where I was like, wait, whoa, what's happening now? Why can't this be the show? Like, can we just sit with this now? I get very passionate about this, as you can tell. But this is just a reminder. Stop waiting for the real part to begin. This is the real part. It's here. You're living it. Like, listening to this right now, this is the show. Welcome. I hope that slapped you back into alignment, because if it didn't, I don't know what would. All right, the last quote that I love. I heard Melissa Woodhealth say this. I always say her name as Melissa Woodhealth, because that's just, as far as I'm concerned, her last name is Health, okay? So she said this on the wellness process, and I think I've heard it a couple other times, but how badly do you want to feel good? I think about this quote every time I have a struggle with my relationship to food. That is something I always come back to when I am in a binging cycle. I'm a self-diagnosed binge eater. I've never been diagnosed with an eating disorder, but I am definitely an overeater. I have suffered from binge eating and those cycles, like the binging and the restricting. And I look at food, and if I'm looking to gorge, I know on the other side I'm going to feel badly. So I always remind myself, how badly do I want to feel good? And that helps me make those positive decisions with my relationship to food, or with all my meals. Is that mantra whenever I sit down to eat, is how badly do I want to feel good? And that means stopping eating when I'm fully satiated. That means, being able to treat myself but not go over the edge, and also nourishing my body and grabbing for things that I know will make me feel so good, not just in my body, but mentally. For me, the biggest thing I miss from, and this is going to have to be another whole episode, but leading up to my wedding, I was on a very, very restrictive diet. I didn't really talk about it because I I don't really encourage anyone to do this, but it did really get me to the look I wanted on my actual wedding day. I did feel very slim. I felt very lean. I felt, strong in my body, but it just wasn't sustainable. It wasn't a way to live. I literally wasn't socializing. I wasn't going out to eat. It was too restrictive. The thing I miss the most though is the clarity in my brain. There was no brain fog, and I was so happy and joyful and in awe of every moment. The mental health was on fire. I miss that. And so to me, the only difference from then and now is food and the overeating or the eating sugar, the processed food, or going overboard with those things, alcohol. And it's just so true. The mind-body connection, the gut, all this bullshit that everyone does. It's not bullshit, but all the buzzwords that happen about that. It's so true. And I lived it, that food is literally so directly correlated to our mental health and the clarity of our brain. So that is a quote I always come back to when I am in that cycle. I'm like, whoa. Remember how good you felt when you didn't do this behavior? How badly do you want to feel like that again? Those were some of my favorite little sayings, some of my favorite quotes that just slap me back into alignment. I hope that you were taking notes. I hope that you were jotting down in your little notes app or on your Notion board. And I encourage you, as a challenge for this week, is to, when you hear something that just really speaks to you and you get that little heart beating out of your chest type of feeling, take a moment to really write down that quote and think about why it's resonating with you. What are those takeaways? What are those things that you love about that little saying and how it relates to your life? And I just, I think they're so important, and they give such color to life. So thank you so much for listening. Everyone has been loving listening to the pod while they're walking because it's 25 to 30 minutes, super easy. And I love that. So pair this with your next walk and feel free to like and subscribe to the podcast. And if you want to leave a review, I would love that. Maybe I'll read some of the reviews on the pod. So if you want a chance to be on the pod, feel free to leave a review. And I love you dearly and have the best week ahead.